Really? Wow. Well, that'll be absolutely brilliant. Awesome. Welcome everybody to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I am here to entertain the hell out of you. So hopefully I can accommodate that and reach my goals, as it were. But hope you guys are doing good. It's great to be back. Obviously, I had to take some days off. Karen Alberting says, hey, Tony Merkel said this morning he's going to be at Phenomicon. Well, how about that? That'd be wonderful. It'd be great to meet Tony in person finally. Been talking to him for years, but but yeah, Tony Merkel, of course, of the Confessionals podcast, is going to be there. So I don't know. I hadn't verified that, but that would be a fantastic thing. Yeah, I'll have to reach out to him and see if that's true. In fact, I might just text him right now. See if he says something to that effect. Because that's really interesting. Oh, my God. I only got like 3 different numbers for him. Is this the one? Okay, here we go. Hey, are you going? I type really slow. I'm a terrible texter. To Phenomicon in Vernal? Question mark. We'll find out. We'll find out just what he says. I'll let you know. That'll be cool if he's going to be there. That's wonderful. I've not had the chance to meet him in person, but we've talked on the phone many times and over texts and stuff through the years. So I'm going to be there. That's the next conference I'm going to be at. But speaking of conferences, last weekend I was over in Pocatello, Idaho. And I'm here to tell you, it was a smaller conference, but my God, it was such a great experience. I met so many wonderful people. Brandon Tennant and Sasquatch Prince put it on. And it was just a really, really well done show. Just had a lot of fun. Dr. Jeff Meldrum was there, Mark Mercell, Nico Spatafora, and of course, Mr. Freeman himself, Michael Freeman, was there. And so we just hung out, had a great time, and met some amazing people in the community over there. Now, I didn't know this about Pocatello, Idaho. I'd never really heard about it, but my God, I had people coming up all the time going, oh, you've got to check out this place in Pocatello. You got to check out that place in Pocatello. And I'm like, oh my God, there's apparently a whole bunch of strange stuff happening there. And I knew that, like Utah is very close, and Vernal, Utah is not extraordinarily far from there. It's a few hours drive, but God knows there's a lot of strangeness there. And that's where Phenomicon is happening, which is also the area where Skinwalker Ranch is. But I had no idea there was a bunch of stuff happening up in Pocatello, Idaho. But apparently there is. And I've got a lead on some investigations there that I'm trying to tie up and put together. So hopefully I'll be going back down to Pocatello in the near future and doing some investigating. Don's doing good. He's just really busy. His life has changed drastically since his family issues with a family emergency. A loved one is going through a real tough time, so it's taking a lot more of his time. But as far as I know, Don's doing good. We haven't talked a bunch, but I've been running ragged, and I know he has been as well. So we just haven't been able to connect. But yeah, when I do talk to him, I'll let you know. You guys were asking. But yeah, he's doing good. So yeah, Pocatello was amazing. I met some great people. Longtime listener, Jane. That was wonderful to meet her and hang out with her and her daughter, Scotty. Wonderful people. I met Ben, who's a great guy, and several people, and introduced them to the show. So hopefully they'll be hanging out sometime soon, if not tonight. I don't know. I don't know if they will or not, but I handed out a bunch of cards and talked to a lot of people. So Renee's going to eat dinner. Okay, Renee, have a good dinner. Chew slowly. Swallow. I don't even know what the hell that means. But anyway, hey, Isaac, good to see you. Rachel gets it right. Renee, of course, Maggie's here, who cleaned out her laundry room cupboard and did heaps of goodwill. It scrolled off the screen. I got to go back. Heaps of goodwill donations whilst there was no portal. Thanks, Brent. Oh, so you're saying it's a good thing when I don't do shows. Okay. You get more done is what you're saying. I see how this works. Maggie says, love to Don and family as always. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, no doubt. Keep sending your prayers, of course. They're through the rough parts, but it's just now, all of the rebuilding stuff that's going on. And again, Don was never, there was nothing ever wrong with Don. It was just a loved one of his has been going through hell and had some real health issues. So Don, being the person that he is, has dedicated all his time and energy into helping and making sure that's going to be okay. And God bless him for that. So anyway, where did it go? Down there, 11 prayers. I'm trying to look. Hardwick, Big D's in here. Annie Manula's here. Kitty Cattywhack. Isaac again. And Renee. I'm trying to say hello. Let's see. Anybody else? Okay, well, that's the shout-outs. I got Barbara Mora and Lucky Gypsy over on Rumble, and I'm sure Gypsy's over on Twitch as well. So Maggie, good to see you. Jesse Garcia, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Android, thank you for sending your prayers. That's awesome. And again, things are looking up, so your prayers have definitely helped everybody. So thank you for all your love and prayers for Don and his family. So, all right, we got a lot to get to. Obviously, I wasn't here Friday and Saturday, but I'm back. I'm like a bad rash. Just when you think you got me taken care of, boom, I'll show up again. And much more caustic than I was before. Nah, not really. Special thanks to my friends Josh and Jackie, who are have an amazing shop on Etsy and YouTube channel. They are Strange Remains Curio Shop, and they do a lot of festivals and stuff and make some really cool stuff. I mean, I was staying in their studio, and I stayed with them while I was in Pocatello. And I'm here to tell you that was like the coolest place in the world. They have just so much neat stuff and antique items and some antiquities that you'd never even heard of, and circus stuff and displays and haunted house stuff. It was my dream place. I was just like a kid in a candy store just looking around. And so they put up with me for a few days, and they sent this that I'm pointing at right now. That's something that Josh made. There it is. I'm pointing at it now. He made a light box, and that's actually a real x-ray of somebody's skull. A lot of the medical companies are selling their old x-rays because everything's digital now. So they just kind of a big bag of x-rays and, for whatever. And that's the kind of people Josh and Jackie are. They find these amazingly obscure deals, and then they create really cool things. And they gave me this. Where it is? There it is for the studio. So it's there in a place of honor. It lights up. Looks awesome. So anyway, who is on your wall? I don't know who it is. It's somebody's head x-ray. I hope they're okay, or hope they were okay. I have no idea how old they were, but kind of cool. So anyway, we're going to be getting to the news here shortly and talk about some of the interesting and strange stuff going on in the world. And then we're going to get to some more strange and weird stuff, and then we'll hit the Cryptid Corner. And by God, we got, probably an hour and a half, the way I've been talking, about an hour and 45 minutes of paranormal goodness just waiting for you. So, but if I did meet you at a conference and you're watching, if I met you in Pocatello, thank you so much. It was so cool to meet you guys. Oh, the megaphone man, Mr. Nace, rolling in with the big cabbage. Thank you, brother. Nace says, hi, Miracles. Hope you're finding giggles abundantly and no ectoplasm in your coffee creamer. Share the giggles. Good to see you, brother. Somebody was just asking about you, Nace, the other day, as a matter of fact. And I said that, from time to time you come and co-host with me here on the show. So we'll have to get you back on and do another appearance here on the portal, brother, because your fans want you. And, of course, I want you too. So anyway, 6-year death anniversary. What the hell? What? We buried both my father and my youngest nephew. Oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible. On July 25th, had a lot on my plate. Family administrative leave going on 3 months tomorrow. Oh. Well, my apologies, Renee. I know that's terribly hard, but our love our love to you. I hope everything's okay. That's tough. All right, so folks, without further ado, I guess we better get to the news and find out just what the hell's going on in the world. At least the things that I saw fit to pull up for us to go over. So I hope you guys maybe learn something. Maybe you'll take something away and feel like a more well-rounded person. Or maybe you'll think it's a colossal waste of your time. But either way, let's have some fun with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the news. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering the news sphere. That didn't sound right at all. News sphere. Sounds like news asphere, and that's not what I meant at all. The news sphere is what I was going for, but it came out all wrong, which is how it works on live streaming. There's no filter. There's no do-overs. It's just me and a microphone. So you're going to get all kinds of stupid throughout the course of the show. What the hell happened? Did he spin? Nope, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing yet from Mr. Merkel. So, absolutely a pleasure to be with you. Totally Homo sapien. What the hell they say? Jesus. You're a unique character. All right, it's the D-hole effect. Yeah, Rachel, I was just looking at your D-hole picture that you sent me. I'm going to get that hung up here on my sidewall. I was hanging up some pieces today, as a matter of fact, that you guys sent in to me. And if you want to send me any of your artwork to help decorate the naked walls of my studio that you can't see, that are off camera, by God, do that. And you can find the address at the bottom of the page on paranormalportal.net, which is the home page of the Paranormal Portal. So if you do that, that would be cool. I just really love when you guys have sent me in things. Check out this. I just got this. I hope I can peel it up without screwing it up. I don't know if I can. Yes, I can. I picked this up from the conference. And this is by an incredibly talented Native American artist that was there. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Her and her child was doing 3D prints and stuff. And I bought one of the 3D prints for my the Minion. But isn't that gorgeous? I just love that. It's watercolor. She's just so talented. There was a green one that I was going to buy, but then somebody got it right before me. So I got the orange one. But I think it's just beautiful. So that's one of the things I hung up in the studio. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. All right. So welcome to the news. It is so beautiful. Yeah, it's very, very well done. Here we go. Let's see what I got here. Remember, throughout the course of the show, we utilize many sites on the show, and I can only ask that you please support these sites. Please help to support what they're doing. And maybe I sent the message to the wrong Tony Merkel account. I got two numbers for the guy, and I can't remember which is the right one. I'll have to try the other one. But anyway, that's the way my head works. It's just so random in here, folks. I just don't know how to explain the noise that goes on in my head. But I ask that you at least support these sites. Your clicks equal revenue for them. So please help to support them, keep them on the air by visiting them, because your traffic does equal revenue for them to keep the lights on. So the first site we're going to be utilizing here on the portal is a site that's, if you've been here at the show, you're very familiar with it by now. But this is a site called unexplained-mysteries.com. I love this site. It's just so well done, and such really current and interesting stuff that they post over there. So let's get to this. This is unexplained-mysteries.com, ladies and gentlemen. And the first article is unidentified object filmed hovering in the sky over Brazil. There it is. There it is. It does look like either a kite. Maybe it's a cicada. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's plenty far away. Whatever it is, it's apparently sizable, but there's no lights on it at all, so it's hard to see. All right, let's get to this article. It says, what exactly is this thing? We don't know. Let's see what they say. The clip shows a strange object that remains stationary over the Brazilian city of... God. How do you say that? Curitiba? Curitiba, I guess. We're going to go with Curitiba. That's what am I getting? Yep, Curitiba. No, I don't know. I'm just making that up. Filmed and uploaded by YouTube user Zona. Oh, that's a lot of letters. Desconhecida. Desconhecida? I don't know. I'm absolutely brutalizing these names, folks. My apologies. I have a very Midwestern palate. I don't have a worldly palate, so I don't know how to pronounce a lot of things. The clip, which was recorded on July 21st and uploaded 3 days later, was quickly picked up by news outlets and shared on social media. I never believed in UFOs until last Sunday when I filmed this unidentified object, Zona wrote. At first I thought it was a drone, but it had no spears. I don't know what that means. Spears. What are spears? Maybe props or whatever. Or maybe the arms. I don't know what that means. And then I thought it was a balloon, but the trajectory was in a straight line, and suddenly something similar to landing gear appears. The footage was unsurprisingly met with strong conflicting views, with some users remaining adamant that the object was a drone and others insistent that it was something more unusual. I don't rule out any possibilities for now, although it looks nothing like today's drone, Zona added. Well, you can check out the video footage for yourself below. What do you think it shows? All right, so we're going to check out, actually, Zona's YouTube pages. She's only got 66 subscribers. Well, she keeps filming UFOs. She's going to have a lot more than that. But let's see what happened on her YouTube page, shall we? Let's see. Okay, we'll get rid of the sound because I don't know if she speaks English. I don't know. That's pretty crazy. Good God, that's loud. Good God, that's loud. Sorry about that. She's got a really good mic, apparently. I don't know, folks. What do you think? It looks, it could be. I don't know. The hard thing is to get any kind of idea of distances, especially when you're in person, you can kind of get an idea of how far away something is. But on a flat plane of a video, it's hard to say. It could be 100 feet away. It could be, 5,000 feet away or 10,000 feet or more. I don't know. It's just so hard to really gauge what that looks like. It doesn't look like a drone, though. I got to agree. I don't know that I'm a drone expert, but it kind of looks like a flying saucer, but it does look like an eye. Somebody said the eye in the sky. Grandizer, I think, said, "It's the eye in the sky looking at you. I can read your mind." Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's an eye, but I do think it's a UFO by all intents and purposes because it's unidentified and it appears to be flying and it's an object. So it checks all those boxes, but is it actually extraterrestrial or some other intelligence? Hell, I don't know. I don't have a horse in the race, apparently. I mean, because it could be anything, right? It could be a balloon. It could be, it could be a grocery bag blown up there for all we know, or a garbage bag. It's hard to say. It does appear to have some translucence, though, if you look over here and here, like as if the light is kind of going through it. But again, it's anybody's guess, but it could be a UFO. It does look very symmetrical, which would stand to reason. But, I don't know. I don't know what to think. Yeah, do you remember the photo that people said it looked like a reflection on a rock in a lake? It looks the same to me. Oh, that's kind of interesting take. Let's review that video once again. I'm actually going to kill the sound because the sound was absolutely obnoxious, but it's definitely in the sky. But yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to say what it could be. It's, I don't know that it's even moving, is it? It's hard to tell. I mean, the light is kind of shifting, but that's based on camera motion, I think, just the natural. This person's very, very zoomed in, so, but it looks like it's just kind of hanging there. I don't know. I mean, it could be a UFO, folks. You be the judge. Hell, I can't tell for sure. I mean, I don't pretend to know what all UFOs look like. They come in all shapes and sizes and explanations. So what is it? I don't know. But it could be a UFO. So this could be a really incredible capture. But you be the judge. It's not my scope to try to convince you that something is paranormal. I mean, I just don't know. Could be. It sure could be. But let's get to the next article here on the news. And coming up next is a Ghosts and Hauntings of category article, which is perfect for the portal, right? Well, let's check out this one from unexplained-mysteries.com, folks. Comes the next one. This is eerie ghostly face shows up in photograph of dark attic doorway. That does look creepy. It's obviously been brightened up a hell of a lot. But it does look like somebody's head peering through the corner there. Yeah, that's a little nightmare fuel. All right, let's see what this says. A very eerie spectacle was recently captured on a camera. It at the dark and foreboding entrance to someone's attic. Maybe you should shut that door. I'd be leaving that door shut after I saw a face there. I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're shutting that. Might even nail it shut. I don't know. The image, which was posted onto a Facebook group by Belgian user Gente Adritsos, appears at a glance to be little more than a shot of an unremarkable doorway. A friend of mine caught this on camera in his attic. They wrote, "What do you guys think?" Well, upon brightening up the image, it's possible to see what appears to be a human-like face in the upper left-hand corner of the doorway, seemingly just floating there without being attached to anything. It wasn't long before the image began generating quite a lot of interest online. "I'd be moving out. That's what I think," one person wrote, while another added, "Oh, heck no, I'm out." Exactly what the ghostly face actually is remains unclear. Could it be some sort of object hanging up in the doorway, a deliberately fabricated hoax, or something genuinely paranormal? You decide. That's what I say too. The Facebook post containing the original image can be found here. Well, let's have a look. Let's see what that looks like. There's the original image. I just want to zoom in on this. So this hasn't been brightened up at all, and you can still see there's a faint head-like shape there, but it's really, without the contrast and the brightness being absolutely jacked, you really can't quite see it, but I think it really could be. I don't know why, but there does seem to be a real shyness with some ghostly presences. I don't understand it really. Maybe they just don't understand what's going on, or they do understand, and they know that they're lingering in a place that isn't really theirs anymore, and so they're more subtle about it. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I don't know. I've been really wrestling with thinking about hauntings and stuff, because I've seen a lot of videos, and you got to take a lot of them with a grain of salt. But one consistent thing that I've been seeing lately is a lot of videos portraying these specters, but they don't look like people. They look humanoid, but they don't look like people. They look like something more akin to an alien. Now, interestingly enough, could those be more trans-dimensional beings that to us exist kind of spiritually? Maybe they exist, or our perception of them is that they're ghosts. They're, formerly people. I mean, generally speaking, when we think of ghosts or spirits, we think of formerly living people that are no longer in a flesh suit. But it doesn't necessarily quantify all of the paranormal in terms of ghosts and spirits, because there are legends of things like elementals. There are legends of these other beings, and guardian spirits. And, oh God, there's so many. There's ghasts, there's ghosts, there's specters, there's wraiths, there's shadow people. There's, any number of things that may never have been human beings. But some of these captures, which I think, okay, I don't believe all of them are real, but they can't all be fake. Can they? I mean, what are the odds that they're all fake? So when you're seeing those ones that they kind of look like a weird gray alien, but not really the bulbous head, just kind of a oblong head, and they just don't seem to be people, or maybe they've just been around too long and lost their humanity, so to speak, so they don't portray themselves as human anymore. I don't know. I'm throwing this stuff around in my head trying to understand what it is we're looking at. This does look humanish, I guess. I want to go back to the brightened up one, because I think that I wish I could blow it up more. I wish they blew it up more. It really does look like a humanish kind of face, though. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, but it looks like it could be a really good capture. It's certainly much more subtle. I don't know who did the brightening up, or who was the first person that was like, hey, what's in that doorway? Let's brighten it up. There's not enough context here. But anyway, that's some ghostly haunting stuff, folks. So we got that going for us tonight. All right, let's go to the next article. I guess I should look at your comments. Anybody say anything? Just looks like nope to me. That's a job for Paranormal Nightmare TV. Oh, yeah, the Foreman brothers. Yeah. They are. I like their shows. I like those guys. I've watched a few of, or maybe they're told if you've been seen by mortals, you'll be banished to another dimension for a week. It does almost, as funny as that is, it almost does seem like, and it's, I realize it's kind of the meat and taters of the whole Beetlejuice movie, that they get a guidebook and they got to stick by these rules. Like, if they don't, they'll be in trouble, that kind of stuff. But it almost seems like there is some rules in place. And I don't understand how that is, or where those rules are established. But I mean, there's so much continuity in how hauntings start, how they progress, and how they escalate into horrible things. But it's almost like a recipe. I mean, it's so consistent in so many cases of, absolutely aggressive hauntings, that they follow a pattern. And it could be demonic, it could be dark, it could be, anything. I'm not saying it's all one thing, but there does seem to be a method to that madness. And almost like they have to, it seems to me as though they almost have to get permission, in a sense. Now, I think that this is wildly speculative on my part, and who can know? But I do think that when you fear something, that is a surrender. And so being startled is natural. Being startled by something is absolutely natural. But when you become afraid of it, you're acknowledging its power over you. And that's where it can get dangerous. So that's why I think it's really important, to hold on to your nerves and not allow fear to be a part of the equation. I'm not saying I'm not saying that would be an easy thing. And I'm not implying that, but that certainly does seem to be an important thing. So, because when you're not afraid, and when you say, no, this is not allowed, get the hell out, they do sometimes seem to listen. And you wouldn't think they would have to, but they may have to. I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, that's fodder for a whole different show. All right, let's go to the next one, folks, because wait, there's more. I got 2 articles left for the news. And this one is paleontology, actually, folks. I like to dig into the paleontology stuff because here's the thing. I know we've learned and discovered quite a bit about the ancient world through the course of fossils and stuff. But again, I don't think the fossil record is complete, and I think we're learning new things about the fossil record and about the life that had existed here continuously, including new species, new information about species we thought we understood, is continually being uncovered through, further excavations in archaeology, paleontology, etc. I guess paleontology, not archaeology. But anyway, we're learning so much more about these creatures that used to exist here. And so this is an interesting story. And it's kind of, I remember covering one like this a while ago, but this one just popped up. So I thought, let's get into this one. This is from the world of paleontology from unexplained-mysteries.com. Tyrannosaurus rex may have been much larger than previously thought. Yeah, like we needed bigger versions. Apparently house size wasn't enough. They need to be bigger. Oh, man. Let's see what it says. We may have yet to discover the fossil remains of some of the largest examples of the species. Tyrannosaurus rex, arguably the poster child of the dinosaur world, certainly needs no introduction. Sporting rows of razor-sharp teeth, this enormous land-dwelling carnivore was one of the most fearsome predators ever to walk the face of the earth. According to some scientists, however, the Tyrannosaurus rex specimens we've found to date do not fully reflect the maximum size that these huge reptiles may have actually reached. The largest individuals may have been 70% heavier and 25% longer than anything we've seen so far. 25% is a bunch. We really have no idea from fossil record about the absolute sizes they might have reached, said Dr. Jonathan Mallon of the Canadian Museum of Nature in Ottawa. It's fun to think about a 15-ton T-Rex, but the implications are also interesting from a biomechanical or ecological perspective. Actually finding an example of such a gargantuan Tyrannosaurus rex, however, would be challenging. Due to how rare these fossils are and how infrequently they are found, it could take another 1,000 years of digging up bones to actually find a specimen within the 99th percentile of the size. What it would have been like to meet such an animal face to face, we can only imagine. Well, yeah, just watch Jurassic Park. It's been done. Come on. Yeah, again, the fossil record is often used by skeptics. Oh, there's no record of that in the fossil record. There can't possibly be Bigfoot. There can't possibly be Dogman or anything else. But again, the actual process of something dying and being preserved in fossils as a fossil is extraordinarily rare, and it requires an absolute perfect concert of elements to be in sequence for a body to be preserved or a skeleton to be preserved as a fossil. Of course, the soft tissues, basically melt away into, whatever. But the bones eventually will become fossils if they're in the right kind of substrate, soil, environment, the right moisture, the right, the right humidity. Everything has to be in perfect concert for there to be preserved fossils. So yeah, fossils are rare, and there is so much more going on than we've ever uncovered. But so again, the fossil record is not a completed compendium of knowledge. It is an ever-evolving compendium of knowledge. And, that's what I like to think. Android Paranormal says, Paranormal Portal, this size issue could be said about any fossil species that we found without at least a couple dozen examples found, even Gigantopithecus. Sure. Yep. Yep. Exactly. That's a great point. So there you have it. But we'll just keep waiting. Maybe they'll dig up one of the bigger ones, but I think they were big enough anyway, in my opinion. I think that was a whole, they call the teeth lethal bananas on a T-Rex. I mean, because their teeth are about the size of a banana, like in the grocery store. And can you imagine a whole mouthful of that chomping down on you? Nope. That's a big nope. So anyway, interesting stuff. I like that stuff. I think it's fascinating. So hope you don't mind a little trip into the paleontological world. I'm using a lot of big words. Anyway, those at least I know how to pronounce. The cultural, diverse ones are really, I don't know. I'm throwing sticks at it mostly, trying to spit those out. But I know paleontological. All right, here we go. Gigantopithecus was imagined from a tooth and a piece of the jaw. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's true. And how they took a tooth and a piece of a jaw and said, well, this is what the whole thing looked like. Really? How could you know? What if the thing was probably 4 feet tall, just had a really big head? I mean, isn't that possible? I don't know. It's crazy to me how they just extrapolate so much of these purported beings from a tooth. My God, I don't know. They could have been little midgets. I mean, they could have been about the size of a chimp, just had really enormous heads, and maybe that's why it didn't work out for them. I don't know. I mean, they didn't make the cut for some reason, so maybe they had something really working against them. I don't know, but it's curious. Anyway, all right, I got one more for you. Yeah, this one's kind of interesting. I saw this posted on Wes's blog over on Sasquatch Chronicles as well. It's an interesting story, but God, as if they weren't already fearsome enough, folks. Of course, we're going into the nature environment files of unexplained-mysteries.com because, get this, as if they weren't already dreadfully scary enough. Here you go. Komodo dragons have teeth coated in iron, new study finds. Like they need iron teeth too. They're already venomous, and with some kind of bacterial venomous soup, and might as well have iron teeth too. I mean, if you're going to make the perfect monster, these might be it. And they're quick too. These bastards are quick. There was the first researchers that went to Komodo Island to research these things. Didn't come back. Many people disappeared over there, never to be seen again. And they got turned into food. It's creepy. I mean, I don't know. That's sad stuff. In a world first, a species of animal has been found to have teeth coated in iron to help keep them sharp. That needed a sound effect for sure. Yeah, let's coat them in iron. Who the hell invented this? God, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? Measuring up to 3 meters long, that's 9 feet, and weighing up to 160 kilograms, the Komodo dragon, which is native to several islands in Indonesia, is the world's largest living lizard species. Although they typically don't attack humans, tell that to the first researchers. These powerful reptiles have been attributed with several fatalities, no doubt thanks to their extremely sharp teeth and powerful jaws. But there's one aspect of these teeth that makes the Komodo dragons particularly notable. It turns out they're actually coated in iron to keep them sharp, something never seen in any animal before. The discovery was made when researchers noted that the teeth were covered in an orange pigment, which upon closer inspection was found to be enamel coating of enamel containing concentrated iron. Jesus. This would certainly explain why Komodo dragons inflict so much damage on their prey, and researchers now suspect that other reptile species may possess a similar coating, although it's not currently possible to determine if extinct species like the dinosaurs might have also had it. Using advanced chemical and structural imaging, we revealed that V. komodoensis teeth possess a unique adaptation for maintaining their cutting edges, orange iron-enriched coatings on their tooth serration and tips, they wrote. Comparisons with other extant varanids and crocodilians revealed that iron sequestration is probably widespread in reptile mammals, but it's most striking in V. komodoensis and closely related Xiphodonts species, suggesting a crucial role in supporting serrated teeth. Well, there you go. That's the stuff of nightmares right there. Yeah, it's like Wolverine. Yep. Oh, they got teeth, not claws, but hey, not the whole skeleton, just the teeth, I guess. But I wonder why they never looked at this before. I mean, how did this just come up? It's not like we haven't known about these things for a really long time. But anyway, there you have it. This has been the news, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned something new and find value in all of these musings. I don't know. I like it, though. I like discussing all this weird and strange and unusual. It doesn't all have to be paranormal, but it's all definitely not normal. So that's kind of paranormal, right? All right, let's get back to the rest of the show, folks. We're going in. That was the good news, folks. And in other good news, it's time to atomize some water. You guys ready? You guys ready? Time to launch. I'm going to do some Elon Musk stuff up in here. All right, you twist the water bottle. I'm holding it so it'll stay together. Keeping the pressure on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cover your ears. Huh? Little science at the end of the news. Yeah, it does kind of crackle. It might be the bottle actually releasing all that pressure. The plastic going, ugh. Boom, you got it. All right, so that was the news. Hope you guys took some value out of that. Paranormal Portal question of the day answers today, since it was not done on Saturday. Well, no, I'm going to save it for Saturday. Because I don't want to try to get a whole other question lined up for just a few days away. So we're going to save it for next Saturday, though. But, you know, I'm excited, as always, to read the questions of the week. The question of the week. All right, so we are going to dive into something else here, because I've got more. What the hell is that? Oh, that's just meaning it's on. Okay. I just got stuff flashing all over here. This is not the one I wanted. I got to get a different window up here. Sorry. I got tabs and tabs, but I got another article pulled up here for us to explore. This is, I kind of enjoy these. There's a lot of lesser known phenomena going on. And you know, every region has their stuff. Case in point, when I was in Pocatello, I was never heard anything about Pocatello as far as an area with a lot of activity. I knew there was Bigfoot out there because, of course, there's the Blackfoot Reservation is near there. And I met some of the tribal people, and they're wonderful people. And actually, the lady that made that picture, I approached her about potentially coming on the podcast and talking about tribal wisdoms about the big fellas, you know, about things that their tribes teach them about this stuff. You know, and she was going to check with the elders to see if that would be okay, but just really fascinating stuff. And then there was another gentleman, Leon, who's also an artist and made some beautiful work. And I got his card to get a hold of him to possibly come on. And he told me stories about there being 3 in the area, 3 groups of them in that area. And talked about the huge range and stuff that they had. I didn't get a lot of time to talk to him, but I definitely would love to have him on the shows as well, because I think those First Nations perspectives are so valuable. They are so incredibly important and valuable. So, you know, these are wisdoms that were shaped over thousands of years of living in community with these other strange things of the world that us and our Western thinking just don't know much about. So to not pay attention to those wisdoms, I think is a crime, honestly. You know, they have history, they have cultures, you know, based around these things and how they've lived in some cases in conflict with them, and in some cases unity with them. It just depends on which tribe and the situations that they experience. But there's some horror stories as well as some beautiful stories. And but the reason I bring that up is that, you know, I hadn't been to Pocatello before, but upon going there, people, again, were like, you got to check out this place. You got to check out this place. Oh, my God, we own this warehouse. You got to come check it out. Shadow people. They showed me a picture that it was taken with black and white film camera from this lady friend of theirs that had done a photography class, and she had taken a bunch of black and white shots and hadn't had them developed for a long time, and then found the roll and went, oh, I got to get these developed. She took them from this warehouse, and sure enough, on one of her images from this film camera, this black and white film camera, there's an apparition standing maybe 10 feet away from her, just staring at her. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's an amazing picture. And the family that owned this, hi, Kimberly Largo. Good. I met Kimberly over in Pocatello as well. Wonderful to see you. Thanks for stopping in. But they were like, you got to come check this out. You got to investigate it. I'm like, well, hell yeah. I had no idea of the amount of intense paranormal going on in Pocatello. But when you go to these locations and you start hearing the stories, it's like, wow, every place has their stories. And there's no one place there's some places that are certainly more intense. But it seems like every region has their hotspots, their incredible activity going on. So this is where I'm getting into the story. The reason I bring all this up is because I like learning about these other lesser known phenomena that are going on. And I found this article from a site called listverse.com. And, here Rachel says, random thought. I wonder if people who live in the country near Bigfoot woods have Bigfoot vegetable gardens at the edge of their land for the Bigfoot to harvest away from their own gardens. Yes, I've actually heard many people have done things like that because they keep losing their produce. So they planted a second garden closer to the woods and kept that up so that the Bigfoot could come and eat that and not take all of their produce. So yes, people have done that many times, Rachel. That's very true. Native American Indians lived side by side with them for centuries. Yeah, exactly. And that's the importance of paying attention to those. Annie Manuel says, Pocatello, geologically active, lots of energy. It does have a lot of energy there. It was a great place. I mean, it had a wonderful, wonderful community. I really just loved that conference because everybody was so kind and warm and really interested. I mean, they were there at the conference because they were interested. So automatically I'm going to like them anyway, because those are my people. But, just like all of you are my people. But certainly everybody was really engaging and warm and welcoming. So wherever the natives say is off limits is where the high strangeness seems to be. Yeah. Yeah, you pay attention pay attention to how they name things. If you hear Devil's Mountain or Devil's Lake and stuff like that, that usually means that they named it that way for a reason. Now, not to say that the phenomena continues, but it did at one point. So it's always a risk that it could still be going on. Plant them an herb garden, if you know what I mean. Ba-dum-bump. Absolutely. They probably appreciate that. Brent, gifting to Bigfoot when it was done correctly. I don't know. If you're going to gift to Bigfoot, I would just say, if you're going to gift food items, make sure they're just plants or vegetables. The thing is that all of our foods, most of our foods are packed full of chemicals. So we're kind of hitting a segue, a side note here. What we don't know is how will our processed foods affect them. And believe me, I've talked to dozens of people through the years. I'd put out a Reese's cups, and it's like, it's not like they have dental care. So if you give them a lot of sweetie, sugary stuff and stuff like that, what are they going to do when they, rot holes in their teeth? You could be killing them. Because, if they get a bad tooth decay and then they get an infection they can't eat, if they get an abscess, we have no idea. I mean, just dentally speaking, I don't believe they probably brush their teeth. Maybe they do. Maybe they have a rudimentary way of rubbing their teeth with roots. Hell, I don't know. But the point is we don't know how our processed foods affect them. We know it's not good for us. We know that our diet is not good for us, generally speaking. But when you go to a species that hasn't had any adaptation to our processed foods, and then you start feeding them, our Franken foods, I just don't see it ending well. So I would encourage anybody, if they're going to try to gift, first of all, if you're going to start it, you really can't stop because they do develop a dependency. And if you stop, they raise hell. They have huge tantrums. and they'll wreck shit or stuff. Sorry, they'll wreck stuff. I mean, honestly, there's many stories of them tearing up like pastures and farms and killing livestock when they're furious. They really get mad. So if you're going to start something like that, you got to continue it. But if you're going to gift, I would recommend, apples, things like that. Or if it's going to be food items, just really pure food items, or trinkets like marbles, colorful stones seem to go real well, things like that. An anthropologist was told not to go to a woman's place. He ignored the elders, and a cloud formed over him, and it rained on him the whole time he was there. I need to look it up. I never heard that. That sounds interesting. Yeah. I mean, there's not only the creatures, but there's also the energies. There was sacred areas that don't like being disturbed. So, yeah, I did. Thanks for pointing that out again, David. I actually, when I'm not doing these shows, I can swear like a trucker, but I try not to. Yeah, there you go. Yep. But I will say this, Annie, or Rachel, is that be careful with those colorful stones from the dollar store, because a lot of times they're coated with chemicals. And I mean, who knows? But I'm telling you, I brought some river rock one time to put on a plant to help keep the soil moist. And I was like, what is this waxy crap on here? And I had to scrub those stones and put them through hot water just to get that stuff off of there, so that it was actually just stone and not this chemical veneer that was on them. So just so you know. So definitely wash them really, really well. So anyway, yeah, I mean, every place has their stories. So I'm getting to the story that we're going to cover now. And this is coming from, again, listverse.com, and it's 10 unnerving legends from around the world. Now, this is a pretty new one. It's from June 27th of 2024, and it was by Estelle, so I'm not sure, and it was fact-checked by Darcy Heikkinen. So, very cool. Very cool. So, but it looks like she did a fantastic job with this, so I thought we would talk about this. So let's go to the first one, and this is private wrecks. So these are more regional stories of strange things. Soljan? What the hell's a Soljan? How did my mouth do that? How did I get Soljan? I love doing live shows. I wish it was a podcast. I could just back up and start over again. I'd be like, okay, 1, 2, 3. Soldiers often guarded no man's land during World War I. They protected the area between opposing trenches, especially during disputes. During the heat of conflict, a lieutenant, only known as Smith, marched some of his men from one area to another. The group was exhausted but stayed somewhat alert to the sound of distant shelling. Smith chose to walk behind the soldiers and soon noticed that one of them, Private Rex, started lagging. The private walked slower and slower until Smith caught up to him without effort. Smith asked the private whether he was cold or ill, and he replied no both times. Smith asked him if he was hungry, and Rex replied, a little. The lieutenant had nothing to give Rex except a few malted milk tablets. As the private took the tablets from him, Smith noted with a start that the young man's hands were ice cold. Before he could give this much thought, Smith's attention was drawn to the other soldiers who needed extra commands to keep going. When he returned a short while later to where Private Rex had been walking, the soldier was nowhere to be seen. Well, Smith immediately stopped the procession and walked back to a distance to look for Rex. But there was no sign of him. So Smith ordered a junior officer to start a search for the missing private before they would continue on their journey. Well, the junior officer gave Smith a strange look before telling him that Private Rex had been killed in action and buried 3 days earlier. Ooh. Well, shocked, Smith spoke with the soldier some more and insisted that he had seen and spoken to Private Rex no more than an hour earlier. When the reality of the situation became clear, Lieutenant Smith could only utter these words. It takes away all fear of death, for I know that Private Rex lives, though dead. Interesting. So it's kind of a ghost story. It's not really a region of haunting, but interesting. Now, here's one that actually came up on the conference. Somebody asked, I think they said melon heads, but it might have been water heads. Not water heads, but I think it was melon heads. They said, do you ever talk about melon heads? And I was like, it's not a topic we've covered a lot. It's something I'm familiar with, of course, but not one we've discussed much. So what are the melon heads? Well, is this actually a video? It's actually a video, I guess. Yeah. So I will put a link to this article in the chats if you guys want to check out the actual video that's included in some of this stuff. So there you go. It's in the YouTube and Twitch chats, and now I'm going to put it in Rumble. And if you want to watch the Melonhead video to learn more, certainly do that. I haven't, so I don't know. All right, let's find out about the Melonheads here, though. New England has many lost spirits and entities, too. However, only a few people in southwestern Connecticut have had an experience with the much-feared Melonheads. There are a couple of roads rumored to belong to Melonheads, and these include Zion Hill Road in Milford and Sawmill City Road in Shelton. But who or what are the Melonheads? Great question. Why are they called Melonheads? They got enormous heads? I'm not sure. It's said that Melonheads are deformed backcountry humans who have existed for at least a century. Well, they hide all day and only come out to eat. When they do appear, they feast on wild animals, cats, oh God, and teenagers. Well, that's horrible. I don't like Melonheads at all now. I wasn't sure I liked them before, but I really don't like them now. Teenagers are not diet food. Stories of the Melonheads first started making the rounds in Connecticut at the end of the Second World War. Rumor has it that they came from a family banished after being accused of witchcraft. Alone in the wilderness, the family eventually succumbed to inbreeding, leading to the rise of the Melonheads. Yeah, that's a whole bucket of creepy right there. Another theory has it that the Melonheads escaped from a mental institution in Newtown. Why did they have Melonheads? Did they do something to them at the institution? According to this theory, they were mental patients running from a fire in the building. Well, they eventually turned to cannibalism, and this caused their heads to become swollen and deformed. Now, I don't know anything about cannibalism, but I'm here to tell you that if it makes your head swelled, that's another reason not to do it. Not that you should need many. Not that you should need convincing that people aren't food, but in case you do, I guess you could use the Melonhead thing. Talk somebody out of it. I don't know. In the 1980s, a group of high school girls braved the night searching for Melonheads. Why would you look for something that might want to eat you? Why would you look for it? It's like, come on, kids. Let's go see if the tiger's outside. No, that's a bad idea. They parked on the infamous Velvet Street in Trumbull, and left their car's headlights on. They only managed to walk a couple hundred feet when they heard the unmistakable sound of a car door slamming behind them. Can Melonheads drive, you suppose? Taking their car. They hardly had time to turn around before the car started moving towards them. Oof. The girls saw humanoid figures inside with small bodies and huge heads. Their eyes glowed with orange fire. Well, the girls ran terrified, and it said that the Melonheads kept the car. They still drive it to this day. It must get great mileage. I'm not sure what kind of engine that had in there, but it's still driving to this day. I don't know. Maybe Melonheads have gas or something too. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but anyway, but they still drive it to this day, folks. The next one up is number 8, Britain's most haunted village, the Screaming Woods Forest. That sounds like a lovely place. All right, let's dive into this one. I've not heard of the Screaming Woods Forest over in England, but let's take a look. The Daring Woods do not have Melonheads legend. That's good. That's good. I'm glad they're a regional thing. But this does not mean you should walk here at night. Nicknamed the Screaming Woods, this woodland near Plucky, England, is considered one of Europe's most haunted places. Ugh. In the dark of night on Halloween 1948, flashing lights and strange sounds emanated from the Deering Woods. Well, no one ventured between the trees to find out what was happening. The following morning, a dog walker stumbled on at least 20 bodies stacked on the forest floor. The bodies were those of villagers who lived in Maltman's Hill before inexplicably dying in the woods. Police and a coroner could not find a specific cause of death and settled for died by carbon monoxide poisoning. It's like, yeah, that's like the final checkbox. It's like, nope. Well, we're going to carbon monoxide. Just before the turn of the millennium, 4 college students decided to go camping in these woods and disappeared. Yeah, the typical twist here is that the stories are just more legends that those who are scared of the woods and creepy places dreamed up. Still, that does not detract from the several reports of screaming coming from the woods at night. Many believe the screams come from those who got lost in the Deering Woods and never found their way out. Now, interestingly enough, there are reports, and continuing to be reports, of Bigfoot or Woodwose or Grogach or Greyman that are these hominid-type creatures in the woods of England. And it doesn't seem, when you consider it, it's like, well, they don't really have big, huge forests in England, but they do have forests. And how much do they need? Prodar Sticks. Hey there, are you looking to enhance your online presence? Oh, nice. I'm getting spam on my Rumble from a live chat. Outstanding. No, I'm good. Thanks, Prodar Sticks or whatever the hell that is. I'm good. But there are reports of Bigfoot-like creatures in England and Ireland, and I'm sure Scotland as well. So, Mr. Fleshrot remembered. Nice job. Thank you. Very cool. So, I don't know. When you hear screaming in the woods, well, if there are Bigfoot-type creatures over there, or, whichever version of that there is, the screaming would be a consistent behavior as to the Yowies, to the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, to the skunk apes, etc., Yeren, Almasties, etc., across the world. So I would kind of wager that that's maybe what's going on in these woods. There's also a story of a beheaded highwayman. Legend has it that a highwayman once preyed on travelers in the Deering Woods. The local villagers had had enough of his crimes and decided to capture him. Well, they doled out a punishment equal to those of horror movie storylines by lynching and beheading him. But it seems the highwayman still roams these woods and its surroundings. A driver in 1997 nearly crashed their car after hearing hooves clatter in the area where the highwayman died. Building on the history of movie lore, a babysitter reported seeing a horse-drawn carriage with lights and horses slowly moving along a street in the same area. If they looked up, they might have seen the ghost of the highwayman up in a lonely tree overlooking the place where he lost his life in such a brutal way. Oof. There have been reports of people walking in fields just after dark, Rachel says, and the field keeps on going. Instead of having an exit to the footpath, the person was walking to enter the field. Fey traps. Yeah, maybe. Actually, come to think of it, Jeremy Clarkson does look like a shaved British Sasquatch. Yeah, he's I don't know. I don't know the guy, so I can't impugn his character at all. But he's not the most James Bondy looking guy, I guess. All right, Lady in Black, the Ghost of Victoria Pass. All right, this is interesting. Number 7, Carolyn James was introduced to tragedy and brutality from a very young age. Her parents were both convicted criminals, and her mother was an alcoholic. One day, Carolyn's mother was found hanging from the rafters in their home. Her father was accused and convicted of the murder and sentenced to death by hanging. Carolyn had no choice but to look for work to support herself, which is how she met the Colitz family, one of Hartley Vale's most respected families. And while working for the family, she met a 25-year-old William Colitz and married him at the age of 13. Ugh, that's such a different world. Carolyn had a terribly unhappy marriage. She soon discovered that William was a drug addict, and she let him go and live with her sister. She left him. Oh, she left. Boy, that just became a soap opera. No, she left him to go and live with her sister. Okay, that makes more sense. Unfortunately, more bad times awaited. Her sister was married to an ex-convict who promptly proceeded to sleep with both of the young girls. Oh, God. Later, reports would surface that Caroline, her sister, and ex-convict John Walsh were involved in a messed up, unorthodox relationship. 2 years later, Carolyn sat in the local tavern with her husband and John, and it is unclear what happened, but a brawl started between the two men. Carolyn grabbed John's hand and shouted for William to run, and each went their own way, or so it seemed. The next morning, a postman found Carolyn's battered body along the road on Mount Victoria Pass on the western side of the Blue Mountains in New South Wales. It was later determined that she had been taken advantage of, with some sources saying that she was also decapitated. A rock smeared with her blood was found close to the body, and John Walsh was soon convicted of Carolyn's murder and sentenced to hang. However, Carolyn was not free from her suffering. She now appears as the infamous Lady in Black from the middle of the 19th century onward. Travelers have reported seeing a young woman dressed in black appear in front of them on the Mount Victoria Pass, and she holds out her arms pleadingly while her eyes shine brightly in the dark. Others have reported a girl dressed in black suddenly appearing on the road and then clinging to the back of their vehicle. Oh, God, that's got to be disturbing. Some people have also noticed a terrifying detail about Australia's own Lady in Black. Sometimes she has no head. Well, there's a whole bucket of creepy. I think we're going to stop here, and I'll continue these stories on the next show. But interesting stuff all the same. Yikes, huh? Creepy, deepy stuff. But I don't know. There's always tragedies, of course. You know, I mean, there's still tragedies today. So it's not like just that world was like that. It's just there's always broken people. That's the sad part. But what do you do? I guess it makes for good shows. I don't know. It sucks to kind of celebrate that part of life. But unfortunately, that stuff does leave imprints. It does leave luggage behind that may manifest in its own way. So that's the sad part. What's worse, having no head or a couple extra ones? I'm not sure. It depends on if you got along with the other ones. What if you were stuck on, like you were one head on a multi-headed being and you hated the two other heads? It's like, my life is hell. Kill me with a rock. There you go. I'm listening on 2x. What? You're listening on 2 times speed? Really? I don't know if that works. Did you start late or something? I don't know what she's talking about. I guess I'm jumping into a conversation. I have no idea what the context is. But anyway, yeah, interesting stuff. All right, we are going to get to the cryptids now, folks, because we got to end with the cryptid corner. That's just how we work. And we only got 45 minutes left because the portal is a time anomaly. Hey, Justin Good Earth, good to see you. I'm out metal detecting and running out of light. Oh, very cool. Good to see you, though, man. It's good to see you when you can be here. That's over on Rumble. Good to see you, brother. All right. So I promised you cryptids. And by God, I plan to deliver. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time, once again, for the next part of our show. Can you guess what that is? Here's a hint. There you go. It's time for the Cryptid Corner, ladies and gentlemen, and we are starting out with the impeccable source of Sasquatch Chronicles. Before I do this, let me just try the other version. I gotta look. Hold on. Maybe it wasn't this one. Maybe it was this one. Oh, that does look better. Oh, yeah. This is the one. Let me try this one. You going to Phenomicon. Yeah, I sent it to the wrong number. So I'm going to do this. Let's see if he responds. That'd be awesome if Tony was going. I should look quick before we get into this. I just want to look. Let's see, because maybe they made an announcement that he was going to be there. Maybe he's presenting. Let's look at the speakers page. All right, normal. And ladies and gentlemen, I suppose I should do this first, because this is the next event we're going to, and I like to promote these. If any of you guys can be here, this would be a lot of fun if you could make this one. This is a 4-day conference. It's in Vernal, Utah. It's certainly more centrally located to make it more accessible, I hope. I'm looking at other options even further south to go meet more people. But this is the one that I'm really excited for. This is a great event. Don and I had gone the last 2 years, and this would be our third year. I think there's been 4 of them. I think they started the Phenomicons in 2020. We didn't go to that one, obviously, but we've had a blast every time now. Sheldon and I are going down this year. Don's not going to be able to make it because obviously he would have to be away for a long time, and that would take him away from his family. And so he's not going to make it, but I'll be there. However, I was just going to look and just see if there's any announcement for Tony being here, because that would be really cool. These are the people that are going to be there. Many of these people I've met and are really wonderful, and I really enjoyed meeting and talking to them. But it doesn't look like Tony's on here. So maybe he's not presenting, but maybe he's going to represent the confessionals, much like I'm not presenting either. Obviously, I am just going to represent the portal, spread the word about the portal. So, but there's going to be some great people there: David Politis, Maria Mayer, Dr. Travis Taylor, William Henry, Nick Pope, George Knapp, Eric Bard. If you're familiar with the secrets of the mystery of Skinwalker Ranch, then you'd know the cast members. There's Russ Accord and Maria are from Expedition Bigfoot. Greg Lawson's been on the podcast. Wonderful guy. James Keenan, I was supposed to interview him, but he had to cancel because he had some TV thing going on. Ben Hansen has been doing a lot in the paranormal world for years. A great guy, former FBI agent. Jay Stratton, wonderful. Several people. Thomas has been on the portal. We had a lot of fun talking to Thomas. Just a really cool guy. Sarah Lemos, Pete Kelsey, of course, Dave Schrader of the Paranormal 60 podcast and the Paranormal 360 on WCCO Radio in Minnesota. Jessica Blunt, she's wonderful, spiritual kind of person. Catherine Hallenbeck, Melissa Winterton, I think this is Thomas's wife. So there's going to be a bunch of amazing people there. Robert Kreider, I think he's from Blind Frog Ranch, and several other people. So as you can tell, there's just a lot of amazing stuff going on. And if you can make it, it's not only great just to catch up with several incredible people, but to hear some incredible presentations. Nick Pope, former Ministry of Defense UFO researcher from the UK. So a lot of great stuff going on. So that's Phenomicon. All right. But yeah, we'll see if Master Markle responds before the end of the show. And I'll let you know to verify that. All right, let's continue on. So we're going to go to SasquatchChronicles.com. And special thanks to Wes for letting us use this. This is it's really awesome because you all know the Sasquatch Chronicles podcast, which is an amazing show. Really second to none. Wes just puts out an incredible show. But he's also got the blog, and there's so much great information over here. So if you haven't checked out SasquatchChronicles.com, check it out. Read the blog. There's so many posts over there from not only Wes and his listeners, listener emails and stuff, but so many other topics that Wes adds to his blog. So it's just a constant feed of great information. And so check it out. All right, here we go. We're going to go to the first one. This is July 31st. Strange howls from Otisfield. What's ME? Is that Maryland or Maine? I don't know. Wherever ME is, I don't remember. I think I did know at one point, but I've long since lost that. But anyway, what the hell? I gotta find it now. I feel like an idiot. What state is ME? Any day now, Google. Maine. ME is the abbreviation for Maine. In case you wondered. All right. Now I don't sound like an idiot anymore because it's Maine. A listener writes, I recently had a vocal encounter in what I've since discovered in an area that has several documented encounters nearby. I went on a girls' trip to my sister's cabin in Otisfield, Maine. Well, I guess I could have just read the damn thing, and there's Maine right there. A couple of weeks ago and heard what we think was close to the Ohio howls on Saturday, July 20th, 2024. God, that's just days ago. I'm from Central Florida on the coast, and we were camping. It's not very remote, and I've probably only been camping a dozen times in my life. I don't know a lot about the outdoors, the sounds, other than birds, but my oldest sister, S70, what does that mean? S70? Has been camping since she was a teenager. I guess is she 70? I don't know what that means. And that's where they would go out, get high, and live their best life in the 70s. Okay, 80s and 90s. And 90s. Well, they had a few good decades then, I guess. All that to say that she knows the forest and its sounds. At least those in the Allegheny National Forest in Pittsburgh, north of Pittsburgh. But far more than me and my other three sisters combined. While we were at my sister A's cabin in Otisfield, Maine, on a pond called Saturday Pond, and there may be 70 homes right on the pond, some closer to one another than others, and we arrived Thursday, July 18th, yucking it up, laughing so loudly that I was certain people across the pond were getting irritated, but if they were, we never heard from anybody. Friday, the plan was to go for a hike at Hacker Hill Preserve, approximately 20 miles southeast. Well, I was hungover, and frankly, I needed some QT and a nap, so I was thinking it would be a good opportunity to possibly see or encounter some kind of Bigfoot situation, but my hangover won, and I passed. When they got back, A showed me a photo of a stick structure they came across. Number 2 pic is attached, also attached a pic of the map from the cabin to Hacker Hill. You can see that the structure looks really organized. It's in a preserve area, but it's not on a path, but it is near one. So there's no way of telling if people did it or didn't walk off the path to make this structure. It's just a weird thing to see that she saw Friday. She never did tell me if she had ever seen anything like that before out there. But I'm guessing not, since she made a big deal out about photographing it and showing it to me. So the next day, Saturday, the day of the encounter, the pond had a weirdly low activity with one pontoon boat and tubers out for a couple of hours. A, the sister that lives there, commented how weird it was on such a beautiful day that there weren't more people out on the pond. Well, nothing weird happened at all, just gorgeous, fun day with 4 of my favorite people. My eldest sister and I decided we needed a fire for the last night. We started making it early, like 3 p.m. And the others wrapped up by hanging by the pond and pulling things together for grill burgers, and we wrapped dinner, grabbed drinks and seats by the fire, and around 9 p.m., A's husband called, and she went inside. At about the exact time, Sister M asked us to stop talking and listen. Well, we did, and we heard the tail end of what sounded like an Ohio howl. So how long was it for her to hear it and ask us to shut up and still hear the end of it? I'm guessing about 20 to 30 seconds. We heard this howl 3 more times, same intensity and duration, and we were all floored. Each of us trying to offer ideas of what it could possibly be. It was not coyotes. There was no yipping before or after. Fisher cat? But it was too long and too loud to be a small animal with small lungs. We all listened to the sounds of a fisher cat, and we agreed that it was not that. Well, I was facing due east in my estimation as the sounds came from the south and slightly east. I conferred with the other girls, and they all agreed, and that it came from about 1 mile away. Here are the comments from the 3 that were at the fire with me. Sister 1, who's S, who's camped from her late teens through her 60s, said this about the Ohio howl in comparison to what she heard. The pitch seems a bit lower, but definitely similar length and intensity. She agreed that something to make that long of a sound at that volume that it reached us from an estimated 1 to 3 miles away had to be bigger than a wolf and even a bear. Not that they sounded like either one of those. Oh, okay. Not that it or they sounded like either one of those. Sister 2 was M. I don't recall it being as long as these ones are, and I thought what we had heard actually had a higher pitch. And this is the sister that noticed the howling to begin with, and she spent practically no time in the wood. And Sister 3A is on the phone. Sister 4L, I did think it sounded like more of a howl, and this sounds like a siren, but I remember one of you saying sounded like a siren. We all also agreed there was no yipping up to a climax of the sound like if it were coyotes. And we didn't feel fearful, but maybe it was the drinks or whatnot, but once it stopped, we went back to talking and stayed out for an hour or so more. I didn't want to submit to BFRO because I don't want anyone going out there and stirring things up. It's not my neighborhood or property, and if the people there aren't talking about it, then that's their wishes. Neither my sister nor her husband said they've heard anything like the Ohio howl or anything strange there before. And they've owned and had a cabin there for 20 years. They have grown children that have also been out there with the family and have since gone up there as adults, but none of them have said they have heard or seen anything weird. I will note that at the homeowner association meeting for the pond residents, it was noted that there was a newly discovered bear in the area, and I guess a neighbor said it got into their bird feeders. If you end up sharing any of this, I'd like to be vague on where the cabin is. Oops. Since it isn't my property, I included the maps for your reference and to show where we were in relation to the other reports. Attachment 3 and 4 maps are the 2 most recent BFRO sightings in the relation to the cabin. And those aren't included here, but it's interesting. So, oops. I guess if she wanted it to be vague, she should have probably been more vague in the description. So, I don't know. You be the judge. Interesting stuff, though. But there's more. There's always more, folks. David, you going? Good night. Have a good night, man. All right, we're at 8:30. Time's flying, dudes. We are cooking through the portal tonight. So let's go to the next one. I locked eyes with it for a few seconds. You know, I don't know what that would be like, but I just watched this video. I don't know if I shared it anywhere, but it was this guy. He had just come back from a gifting rock. So apparently he had a gifting area. And he said that something followed him, and he was using his phone camera, I guess. But you had 2 big eyes shining back. I don't know how far from the ground, but they looked pretty tall. And the eyes were pretty far apart. So it wasn't just an owl, a little owl with big eyes. It was like the eyes were about, here. Like the head was really big. And it was glaring back at him. He said, I don't know, it looks like one of them followed me back. And he was a little concerned, but, that's another cautionary tale for gifting. It's like if they really, really like your gifts, they might want to follow you home to see what else you got. I don't know. That's, since gifting came up tonight. But yeah, it's creepy. If I find it, I'll post it on the Discord, but I don't think I shared it anywhere. I'm not even sure if I could find it again. It just popped up on Reels or something when I was scrolling through. All right. July 29th. I locked eyes with it for a few seconds. A listener writes, Hi, Wes. Huge fan. I've been listening to your show for a while now, and you're by far my favorite in these subjects. I've had exposure to high strangeness throughout my life with a large volume of incidents around my teenage years and have been really meaning to write you, but something you said in episode 1076 made me finally do it. When you brought up how people reported seeing something like a tree stump and then it starts to move or morph into something, that's exactly like what happened, what I experienced in a specific incident. And I would say there's a lot of similarities to the tone in that episode. Well, this took place on a slightly rural area outside of Chicago, near the border of Indiana and Illinois. I live near quite a bit of farmland, and in the middle of a large section is this wooded area where I would frequently have fires and hang out as a teenager. You can think of it as almost like as an oasis. That probably used to be old farmhouse there, but was no longer. Well, I decided to go for a walk to this little oasis in the field one morning. It was winter, so there was a good amount of snow coverage. I noticed there's this set of very large paw prints, and I decided to follow them. Well, it took me through some fields and down a little creek and eventually arrived at this clearing. I looked out, and at the side appeared to be a very large tree trunk that had fallen. Or at least that's what I initially thought. It was very large and solid looking, but then I noticed it moving very subtly. So I kind of get down in this army crawl position and start trying to get a bit closer. I was probably half a football field away or closer when it lifted its head to look up right at me. And it was something like a wolf, and I remember its gaze very clearly. I locked eyes with it for a few seconds, and then it did this really weird movement and started to slowly trot away. It's so hard to explain how it looked when it ran, but its legs looked very long, and it had this strange floating gait to it. It would certainly be bigger than a wolf, at least in height. I've seen wolves and coyotes in the wild, and this was absolutely neither of those, nor did it move like one. I felt almost more in awe than scared when it all happened, and I think the sheer fact that I thought it was a tree, but then trotted away, took a bit for me to process. I've got too much to write in a single email. If you do indeed read this and ever want to hear more, I'd love to chat with someone like yourself. My whole life I've been trying to make sense of this stuff, and thanks to your show, I start to see some similarities and experiences, and that seem beyond coincidence. Yeah, I mean, I was talking with Michael Freeman and Dr. Jeff Meldrum at the conference this last weekend, and we were actually talking about the Freeman footage. And there is this one spot in there that really does demonstrate how these things, and these, by saying these things, I'm talking specifically about Sasquatch, but how they can just disappear. Now, I'm not referring to the supernatural, ooh, it melted away, but I am referring to the fact that they are so masterful at blending into their environment. There's one spot where this Bigfoot was lost to Paul Freeman. He's like, where to go? And then suddenly you see it was kind of like bent its head down in relation to this tree bough, and it was in the shadow, and it was absolutely invisible. Like you couldn't see it until it decided to lift up its head and step forward and come out and walk again. And it's like, oh my God. It was so profound that, it was just invisible. Like, how could you see that? I mean, I guess, like when you think of like the ghillie suits that snipers wear and stuff, they blend right in. They just disappear into their surroundings. And can, if you look at a picture where there's a sniper hiding, and actually Russ Accord of Expedition Bigfoot does this in his presentation, just to give you a little sneak peek at. He dresses up in, just some basic camouflage, and will hide in this forest scene. And you can't see him. You cannot see him. Now, if you're in a natural ghillie suit, you can just melt into nothingness because you don't have a silhouette, especially if you take the time and you put on the face paints as well. So it's not like you got a bright skin color or, whatever shooting out from there. I mean, it just blends so perfectly. So they really are masters of their element. They truly are. Like, they can just be there and gone. And they are so good about not moving. Like, they just freeze. And the only hope you have is if they like move their eyes and you catch that, because they are so perfectly hidden. It's just amazing to me. All right, let's get to this next one from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. This is from July 29th. Oh, dear. This is the one I just read. I'm not going to read that again. We don't need a repeat. All right, here we go. This one is from July 28th. This is an Arkansas vacation. Or an Arkansas. Not sure. Just kidding. I know it's Arkansas. I was just kidding. All right, a listener writes, in the summer of 22, my wife and I were renting a house near Witt Springs, Arkansas. And this is a rural area, and we were used to that being from Iowa. Well, we arrived and to the entrance of the driveway where we had unlocked a gate and traveled maybe a half mile up the drive to the house. We had to remove a tree that had fallen across the drive to be able to reach the house, and the tree was maybe 6 inches at the base, and nothing looked strange, and we thought nothing of it. When we reached the house, we had a hound dog waiting to greet us. We affectionately named him Martin, and we had our 2 rat terriers with us, and the 3 were instant friends. We assumed he was used to renters and wanted food and water, so we obliged him, and we did the usual vacation stuff and took in all the local attractions of hiking and local restaurants. The 3rd night of our stay, we decided to sit by the fire and just relax with the dogs and Martin, and I wanted to remind you that this is a rural area. There are no streetlights or sources of light other than the stars and our fire. The 3 dogs were all laying around the fire, and we needed more wood, so I got up from my chair and went to walk away when my wife said, "Hey, knock it off." I said, "Don't you want more wood for the fire?" And she replied, "Yeah, just not a rock." Simultaneously, the 3 dogs stood and faced the direction I was going to get wood from. Our dogs immediately went to my wife and were trembling. Martin, the adopted hound, snarled with his tail raised and bolted off into the darkness. When you go camping in our fireside, everything away from the fire looks so dark you can't see anything. It's hard to switch from the light to the fire to the darkness of nature. My wife was concerned about bears and mountain lions, so she asked me to walk her and the dogs to the house, and that's what I did. As we began walking, she asked me if there was another road we didn't use to get to the house, and I asked why, and she said, "Look, someone is coming." I turned to look and saw headlights coming from where there was no road, but only a valley of woods, because the house sat on a flat surrounded by woods much lower in elevation, a gradual slope around 100 feet. Well, I instantly recognized that there's no way a car can be coming at eye level, let alone above the trees. I told her to go inside and went directly in the direction of the headlights. Well, the 2 lights seemed to be a few hundred yards away and slowly merged to 1 light. The light also seemed to be coming towards me. As it got closer, the now single light gradually dimmed and then went out. I thought, Huh, that's weird. I turned and went inside where my wife was not happy with me and let me know how less than intelligent my actions were. She assumed the lights were hunters and told me to go put out the fire and come to bed as she had her fill. Well, as I walked back to the fire with my back now toward where the light or lights had come from, a small rock landed near me. I turned to look in that direction and saw Martin the hound. He came straight to me and put his side firmly against my hip and was kind of pushing against me, almost leading me in the direction of the house. I turned and began walking to the house with him, pressed against me firmly all the way to the house. When I reached the house and opened the door, I reached down to pet him and was going to bring him inside, and he turned and ran again. Well, I went inside and got ready for bed. The next morning came, and we were scheduled to leave that day, and my wife told me there was a protocol for securing the house and a phone number to call, letting them know the house and gate are secure. I called and did as I was instructed, and while speaking to the caretaker, I asked jokingly if the hound dog was part of the security and did he need fed. The man replied he didn't know what I was talking about, but if there was a dog there, it was probably a stray and not to worry about it. I told my wife we were all set and left the rest of our dog's dry food by the fire ring with a bowl of water and began to drive back to Iowa. Well, this may not be worth your time or related to your show, but it is the single most strange thing we have ever had happen to us. I've never heard of your show until a year after this vacation and only listened as a source of entertainment. The first time I heard somebody on the show refer to the strange lights, I looked at my wife and she just said, "Never again, babe, never." I knew exactly what she meant. Our vacations are now all-inclusive resorts surrounded by people. Thanks for reading. That's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. The orbs and the Bigfoot stuff, for some reason, there's some kind of correlation there, and I don't pretend to know what it is, but it's plenty bizarre. It's plenty strange stuff. I don't know. They're head scratchers for sure. But what are they? It's anybody's guess. I think we probably got time for one more. Unless it's a real short one. Nope, it's about the right size one. All right, we're going to go to July 27th. Not sure what I saw from Oklahoma. I can tell you, it's got to be a Lulu. I think it's a mode of transport for them. Yeah, it's just strange. It's, again, the things that I wrestle with most are how? It's just, I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I don't understand that. I don't know how to conceptualize that in any kind of way that makes sense to me. I mean, I love the idea that, there are things that can transmogrify or transmutate themselves into some other form of potential energy. I just don't know how. And that's what I wrestle with the most. It's like, we don't see that demonstrated in any other way by any of the things we do know about. So what is the nature of these things that is so distinct that they can be both fully physical and very physical and leave footprints? They eat, they break things, they're very present in a very physical way, and yet they're also something else. And I don't know how to process that. So I hit a wall. Because I do have I understand the idea of everything being energy, and I understand the concepts of that. I just don't know how there's a transmorphism or some ability to adjust matter to energy and then energy to matter. Because that seems like super sci-fi or super magic stuff. And granted, I suppose there's a possibility these things are something far advanced to us. It's just, I don't understand. And so I hit walls. Because the journey of the paranormal portal is for me to understand. I want to understand this stuff. I want to understand what it means because, again, I don't think this stuff is where things just go goofy. I think this stuff is the breadcrumbs that teach us more about the truly dynamic nature of our reality and us, probably ourselves. But sure, electric eels can generate bioelectric shocks, sure. Maybe Bigfoot have some organs that can transform energy around them. Yeah, I mean, those are all possible. I just don't know how. Yeah, lots of parallels between Sasquatch, aliens, ghosts, etc. That's the truth, and that's what the one big takeaway, SoCal, that I've really grabbed onto through the years and marveled at, is that some Bigfoot experiences are very much like hauntings, which are very much like alien encounters, and it just goes full circle. It's so, are these all the same thing? Are they somehow related? I don't know, but that's the $1 million question, I guess. If you could answer that, I guess you could probably unlock the keys to the universe, maybe. I don't know. But at any rate, very interesting. I think it has something to do with physics and observation. Sure, like the double slit experiment. It definitely changed behavior based on being observed. So there is something huge going on with expectation and the reality responding to expectation. That's very powerful, incredibly profound stuff. But we will all know one day. Amen. I sure hope so. Yeah, it's like Schrodinger's cat. It's alive and dead. Yep. And let's go to this story, though. Not sure what I saw, Oklahoma. It was September 14th of last year, and I know this because I have the text I sent to my husband after I saw this thing. We live in southwest Oklahoma at approximately 160-ish acres. Lots of thick treed areas. The north part of the land is very heavily treed in the small lake and some ponds. It was about 8:30 a.m. and it had rained all night, so the morning was very wet and still. I was off that day and we had just adopted a 1-year-old golden retriever and I was taking him out for a walk. To the west of our house is a 5-acre lot that we had hog fenced. Not sure what hog fencing is, but sounds like a good fence. Keep in hogs. The dog, Boomy, B-U-M-I, could run free and explore as I walked with him and not be able to get out and into the cattle, which he had never seen before and was dangerously obsessed. So between our house and this 5-acre Boomy running pasture, there was a fence, and along that fence is a line of trees and bushes. Well, I walk him into his running pasture, and we have a good walk, and the rain had stopped, and it was just very, very still and quiet, so I decided to let him go some extra laps around the place. It was time to go back to the house, and we were making our way back to the fence/tree line that is between us and the house. And Boomy's walking beside me, checking out an old tractor tire, so I'm pausing to look around when I see a bush at the fence/tree line with this, which is sort of downhill from me. I'm not a good judge of yardage, but I would say it was about a bus and a half. What is a bus and a half for yardage? I guess like a bus and a half distance? Okay. Anyway, I realized that this bush seemed like maybe it hadn't been there before, which was odd. So I pause and stare because in my mind I'm thinking, well, that bush looks like it could be a... And as I think that, and please, I'm not crazy, but this sounds like it, this bush, as if it read my thoughts, that same instant sort of morphed. All of the bush-looking things fell away, and it became a lot taller, erect, and just sat there and stared at me. It had hyena-looking fur. The nose/face was like that of a hyena. Rounded ears, taller than a dog, but it was not a dog, not a mountain lion, not a coyote. I just sat there trying to figure out what I was looking at. All the while that I was sitting there just staring And the word watcher just went over and over in my head. Oh, geez. I know I sound like a crazy woman. And as I stood there staring, wondering what the hell to do or even to think, this thing literally looked at me like it was taking a bow and melted away, as best as I can describe it. It did not go under the fence, which was behind it. It did not go left or right. I mean, nothing moved or was disturbed. It just melted away. Well, I grabbed my dog and we had to walk down that hill past where I'd seen that thing and made my way past the fence to the house, which was uneventful, thankfully. Wes, the weirdest thing was my dog never acted like he smelled or saw anything. And he can smell and chase a rabbit or squirrel, find a snake or turtle in the very tall grass and growth from clear across the pasture. And the chase is on. So that thing had to be there the entire time we were out there. We had to have walked right by it. It is like it was completely hidden from us, in plain sight. My husband went out there when he got home to see if we could see any tracks or anything, but it had rained a lot and the leaves had fallen like crazy in that area, and we saw nothing. When I tell my coworkers, they're like, "Oh, you saw a deer. You saw a mountain lion. That must have been a mangy coyote." Well, I have no idea what it was, but it was there. But if there are creepy hyenas that can do disappearing act in Oklahoma, then I would say that this is it. One of my coworkers lives out there, and lives out where I do, about 20 minutes away. And she had some stories about two guys who showed up at her place asking to look at the creek bed behind her house for prints. Apparently they came out with some casts. I'm interested in that story, but she's very private about it, so maybe I'm not crazy. I thought Oklahoma was not a place for aliens and Bigfoot, but I think maybe I was wrong. Wow, almost sounds like a Dogman kind of thing. There's many people that have reported these hyena-faced, like canid humanoids, but I don't know. Very creepy, whatever it is. It's like, that the telepathy angle is another one that really throws curveballs. It's like they can hear your thoughts, but I guess, if they're intelligence, I think probably our animals can hear our thoughts too, our pets. Perhaps they communicate very telepathically, maybe in a more emotional way, maybe more in that sense, but that doesn't mean that, if it was that they couldn't have more comprehensive thoughts, more like that. Who let the dog man out? Woof, woof. There you go, Grandizer. Yeah, who let the dog man out? Sing the song that never ends and they can't read your mind. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't need that earworm. Thank you. I got it now. Thank you. It didn't work. It did work. I'm now singing it in my head. That's more noise I didn't need. Thank you. The song that doesn't end. It goes on and on, my friend. I don't think I can remember any more of the words, which is good, because if I knew the words, it would continue going on. If they can truly hear our thoughts, how do people fool them with their footsteps in the wood when they're being followed out? I don't know. Maybe just like anything else, if they're not really focused on what you're thinking, maybe they're just more focused on, maybe they want you to hear them, quite honestly, when they mirror your steps, maybe they take an extra step on purpose. So you go, that's the fear factor. They want you to know that you're being pushed out, but they want you to know that they're actually intelligent enough to match your steps. Oh, Maggie. No, don't apologize. Thank you. I think it's funny, actually. Yeah, so it's like they want you to know. They take that extra step because they know that that's going to give you the heebie-jeebies. Because you can't see them, but you can hear them. And that's creepy. When you can't identify something, like you can't see it. Like I got to tell you, I do paranormal investigating, and I've heard Like I lived in it was actually when I lived in my grandmother's old house where, she passed away and my grandfather passed away before I was born, but I heard somebody wake me up at 2 a.m. I lived in the downstairs. The upstairs was all torn apart. And I heard some hard sole shoes walking around at like 2:30 a.m. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty creepy. And I think maybe it was Grandpa, but it's still a creepy thing. Now I've seen those videos. One is a footage from a security guard at a hotel, and he's walking on the stairs, and he's got a lot of weird stuff happening at this hotel, but he's in the stairwell. He's like hearing something else walk. He's like, hello, hello, and then all of a sudden these footsteps just charge up the stairs, right at him. I mean, you can hear it. It's like right up the stairs, right to him, and then past him. And I gotta imagine that would probably make you soft serve your underwear in a hurry. it's a little smoothie. How do people stumble upon them? I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that like anything can be surprised. These things aren't perfect, but I just think that they could be surprised. Who knows what they're doing or focusing on. I mean, if they are intelligent, they probably get distracted just like we do in our thoughts. So it's possible for any number of reasons that you might stumble onto one. I just think it's very rare because I think they're very acutely aware of their surroundings, whether it's Dogman or Bigfoot. That's their home. That's where they live. That's their domain. It's like, like a stranger sneaking up into your house. You're going to kind of know that someone's there. I don't know. And you know your house better than they do. So, I don't know. So, anyway, very interesting stuff. In the cases where people stumble upon them, I mean, it can happen, sure. Maybe they got distracted. Maybe they're doing some kind of mental thing with the rest of their clan, so their minds are focused on that, and they're not really tuned into what's going on around them. Maybe they thought they were okay, and then somebody stumbles on them. I'm sure it happens, but I just think it's more likely that they know you're in the area long before you're ever aware of them. Yeah, so I'm actually leaving on another Bigfoot road trip. I might end up in Sandpoint if I can make it that far. If I do, I'd love to buy you a coffee. Absolutely, brother. Just email me when you're going to be in the area. paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I'll definitely meet you. For sure, SoCal. Just let me know. That would be brilliant, sir. And my favorite price is free, so no, you don't have to buy me something. It'd just be nice to meet you, brother. So if you make it up here, just let me know. Let me know when you're going to be here, and we can definitely connect. That'd be awesome. No response from Mr. Merkel, so I don't know. He might be sleeping. I don't know what his hours are. I know his hours are really bizarre. The guy survived for years on like 3 hours of sleep. He's a machine. Tony Merkel is a machine. I don't know how he does what he does, but I know the guy has a work ethic way above and beyond anything in my zip code. So listen for the Harley. You got it. Absolutely. But yeah, we'll connect. Anybody, you guys come up my neck of the woods, email me. I'd love to meet you guys. If you're ever in the Sandpoint area, just let me know. I'm happy to meet you guys and hang out. I love the opportunity to get to know you guys. That to me is awesome because you guys have given me your love and attention for years. So to me, that'd be amazing to meet you guys. Any of you. So just head on over to the upper Idaho. If you're ever in this neck of the woods, let me know. What are we doing for time here? I think we're about done. We are actually done. Wow. It's over. That's it. That's the portal. I think it was a good journey. I hope you guys had a good time. It was good to get back in the saddle here and do another live stream with you guys. I, of course, love doing these shows. I should probably pull up the Rumble chat. It got buried. There it is. At least we can have pleasant spammers here. There you go. That's far from where my brother and I had found the massive skulls. Yeah, Justin, I wish to God you still had those skulls. That's awesome. Not so, sir. Sorry, Brent responds to gifting. Yeah, I do. I absolutely respond to gifting. And, I appreciate all the love, you guys, you guys give me a gift every time you show up for these shows. You know, I mean, honestly, I love doing these shows. I love talking about this weird stuff with you. I love that you guys think enough of what I'm doing to show up and be a part of it. So you guys are amazing. And, you know, I literally love you all. I say it every show, but I mean it. Oh, thank you, Megaphone Man. Another donation. Good night, miracles. I need to get in my coffin before it's too late, early, whatever time of day or night it is. Thanks for being the light in my darkness. Share the giggles. Thank you, Naysay, brother. Appreciate it. I'll give you a holler and we'll figure out your next appearance on the portal co-hosting with me. That'll be fun. All right. So that's going to wrap up the journey for tonight. Thank you guys. Special thanks to Pocatello, Idaho. You guys were amazing. I loved being there. I loved meeting you guys. And I really look forward to getting back down there and doing some investigating, possibly in the next month or two. We'll see how it goes. But I look forward to getting back there. I also want to thank SasquatchPrints.com. They Brandon Tennant put on the show, did a hell of a job. It was really well done. We had a lot of fun. Everybody had fun there. Every one of the presenters really enjoyed their time. And it was great to see Dr. Jeff Meldrum and Michael Freeman and Mark Marcel I got to meet finally. Nice, wonderful guy. As well as Nico Spatafora. And Nico is a paleontologist and also works with Cliff Barrickman at the North America Bigfoot Center. So very cool to see and meet all of those guys and talk with them. I never met Nico and Mark before, but they're great guys. Really, truly exceptional. David Ellis did his presentation there. And he's kind of a sound wizard. He does a lot of examining sounds, and his presentation, even though I wasn't in the hall, I could hear from my booth. And that was very interesting. He's got some great vocalizations that he plays. So if you ever get a chance to listen to David Ellis speak, you should definitely do that. So, no, the Ghost Box didn't do a thing tonight. You're right. And I like that it doesn't do stuff every time. Because if it did stuff every time, it'd be like, okay, well, there's something triggering it. Probably not paranormal. But the fact that it can go crazy one night and then be quiet for, 3 nights that we do shows, I think that really lends credibility to the fact that maybe what it's picking up is anomalous. So anyway, that's what we got, Kitty Catawak. Lots of love to you. Thank you guys for being here. As always, thank you to those who are watching on Twitch. I appreciate it. And I will be back on Friday. I suspect Sheldon will be joining me. And so catch us then. We do these live shows every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Whatever that means to you in your time zone, you'll have to sort out. But that's when the live shows happen. So spread the word. And there wasn't a new podcast this week. I just didn't have any chance to whip one up for Monday. So I'm putting the next one up on this coming Monday. So just so you know. But be back Friday. We'll be back Saturday. And then we'll get up to it. So I will, I guess, talk to you guys soon. Remember, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Until next time, love y'all. Love you, mean it. All right. See you guys. That's all I got.